Listen up, presented by Dempsey's in Sportsland, alongside not only Ryan Renner, but Marcia Clark, the one and only Marcia Clark. And Ryan, we want to thank her, one of our big subscribers on this channel. And finally, we get a new view of what it's like to have our subscribers on. Ryan, UConn and Marcia. UConn comes away final score 67-59. UConn over Georgetown on this Saturday evening. Still a lot of question marks, Ryan and Marcia. I wanted to dive into it before Ryan and you take off on this game recap. Again, they're inching their way through the physical mentality part of it. And I know now Nika Mule, the question mark, serves as what will that ankle look like tomorrow morning? Not only that, but I just have to still question. I know people are going to beat me up about this, but Marcia knows all too well what I've been going through this season. Some dislikes on this podcast when it comes to Phil, if you want to say. I think it's safe to say that. But, I have to question, is this kind of play, will it sustain and hold up through March? I mean, Ryan, it's a big question I've been asking you all season.
Yeah, I mean, I think this game was a lot closer than what we were expected. Unfortunately, Caroline was out for today. I was really hoping that she could go. I think they definitely could have used her offense for today. But Maddie Seagrass, before we get into the Georgetown recap, Marcia, I don't know if you saw this or not. Maddie Seagrass, how about her scoring 50 points against Seton Hall? She's really quite the player.
Yeah, she really is. She actually kind of reminds me of Breanna Stewart in a way. I don't know why, but she just does.
Yeah, her ability to play make, shoot the ball is pretty good. Really good player. But UConn today, I think they kind of started out a little sluggish. Georgetown knocked down a couple threes, went on an 8-0 run. They were playing pretty tight defense on UConn for pretty much the whole game. It seemed really crucial that UConn for them to keep attacking, being aggressive, drive the ball into the paint, and to draw contact, try to get to the free throw line a little bit. After the media timeout, though, Huskies started to force some turnovers on defense, committing their own turnovers instead of turning the ball over on offense. But I like the offensive boards too. They got a lot of offensive boards today. And just like the first matchup, Georgetown had a first quarter lead. But in the second quarter, it pretty much remained a defensive battle. But Ayanna Patterson, I thought she did really good too, Marcia. When she came into the game, I think she's been playing pretty good when Gino allows her to come into the game. I really like her rebounding.
I agree. I see you, Ayanna.
Yeah, I mean,
doing the good stuff.
And I really hope she plays during March Madness too, because she's really aggressive down there grabbing those boards. But UConn, they were kind of bending a little bit on defense, but not breaking. And kept preserving the lead, got a couple steals, which kind of ignited their offense a little bit in the second quarter. 14-2 run helped them get a 3-point lead advantage going into halftime. And a couple halftime notes, the rebounding was superb for UConn, especially like I mentioned on the offensive side of things. Defensive effort was much better. And Marcia, I think you can probably comment on that. They really looked like they had a lot more energy than the last game.
Yeah, absolutely. The second half, I was still sweating bullets towards the end, but they came out and played really well. And I just got to shout out Aubrey Griffin. She has been like my unsung hero of the entire season. So yeah, good job, Aubrey.
Very athletic player, Ryan. Ryan, do you want to say any more before I put the spotlight very quickly on Marcia Clark, if she doesn't mind?
Well, I just think, I mean, like I said, it was definitely getting a little closer than what we were expecting there at the end. Georgetown went on like a 9-0 run. I think they got within 5 points. They started putting on the half court press, full court press. And like I said, they were pretty aggressive on UConn the whole game, up in their grill, played really good defense. Kennedy Fauntleroy, Grace Ann Bennett had really good games. But they couldn't quite pull off the upset. But hats off to the Hoyas. They played pretty good against UConn today.
All right, Ryan. So in this part of the show is my favorite. We always move into comments from the last videos. Marcia, what you guys do is you comment on our videos, and we cannot appreciate it enough. And to just have you here on this game recap says a whole lot for us. And we hope a lot more of you guys come through. You're the first sub on this show. So that's a special for us. And that's a special, I'm sure, for you. Hopefully it is. Hey, I want to try to shift it over and try something new here. So I want you to tell us about yourself, if possible, what you do, where you're from, your number one UConn Huskies favorite moment all time, and when you started following this team. And then we will get into questions for subs. I know Ryan has some for you, and then I do as well. So if you can just introduce yourself for us.
Yeah, so I live in the Syracuse area. I was a Huskies fan ever since it started out as a love-hate relationship, because I used to be a Tennessee Lady Vols fan back in the day with good old Pat Summitt. My dad was always a coach growing up, so I grew up just watching the game and loving it, and came to love UConn because my dad did, and obviously he loves Gino and read some of his stuff and would always kind of try to emulate him in his coaching style. So that's when I really became a Huskies fan. My favorite moment, that's tough.
That's a tough one.
Like Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird kind of era, but I'm gonna go with Breanna Stewart. Anything she's done for the team has just been so amazing, and to see her really succeeding in the WNBA, not only just for women, but also just, emulating what it means to really truly be an athlete and love your craft and go, even if the money's not what it should be, like just because she loves her craft so much. So I don't know. I love Breanna Stewart. So that would be my favorite moments, I guess.
Good choice. Good choice.
All right, Ryan, if you want to pick out some comments to read to her, if you have any trouble at all, Marcia, no pressure. Ryan can always, he usually breaks down these comments for me very well. We'll start out with Jason D'Amico, because actually he's joining us. He's following you up next weekend.
Yeah, Jason.
And he goes, this one is going to be tough to calculate. It is almost as if this is the start of a brand new season, and we are not sure which UConn team will show up. Kind of scary in February. Hold on to your hats, fellas. Peace.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was kind of the start of a new season. It almost seemed, because like I said on the last check-in, we were all kind of expecting, or after the game against South Carolina, we were all kind of expecting to get the rematch, and we had a full head of steam going into Marquette, and then the Golden Eagles hit us with a surprising loss, and it was good to see, though, UConn rebounding today from that loss, and the back-to-back losses since first time for 30 years. So I think it was good today to see the energy that they brought and the intensity. They matched the Hoyas' intensity today. So it was definitely a good bounce-back win today.
I think at this point in the season, for me, like a win's a win. It's just going to get even harder when March Madness comes. And I think that the league has just become so much more competitive than in the past, a lot due to the NIL deal. Players want to play. So at this point, a win's a win. Go Huskies.
There you go. That's the right mindset, Ryan. Daniel Ring goes, just to relieve some fans wondering if Paige Beckers is coming back next season. Paige confirmed at the beginning of the season on ESPN she will return for UConn for the 23-24 season. She also has 2 extra years of eligibility left after season if she wants to use them. And, Marcia, I mean, I and Ryan as well, I think that Marcia knows by now how big of a Paige Beckers fan that I am. I mean, that's one big reason why we actually started on this podcast, followed by some other smaller reasons. But yeah, I mean, I think right now at this point, whether you want to hear it or not, I think this team is really, even though that she's missed all this time with injuries, and it's very unfortunate, I think this team, Marcia, is really based around Paige Beckers, and you have to, I'm not gonna say you have to build around her, but you have to make sure that you're playing at least at her level of game. And I don't know, definitely just a lot of the plays, I feel like once she comes back next season is going to go around her.
Yeah, for me, I want her to come back because the Final Four is in Cleveland next year. My family lives in the area, so I want to go, and I hope they get there. I'm a huge Paige Beckers fan, and I think that's the other reason I really like Aubrey Griffin this season. I mean, I like Aubrey Griffin in general every season, but I think she's really serving as a role model for all those players that are injured that can come back and do everything that Aubrey's done. So I hope Paige comes back full throttle, and the team, they need to build around her, but also like anything can happen. And I think all these players are willing and capable of getting to that Paige Becker's style of play. So.
Oh, for sure. Especially in UConn. Where else, Ryan?
Yeah.
Yeah, and in terms of everybody coming back healthy, let's hope that for the whole team for next year as well, and hopefully that we don't have as many injuries as we've had definitely the past 2 years. But yeah, I mean, because Aubrey, I think she missed the whole last season, right? So it's pretty incredible what she's doing this season, especially stepping up with all these injuries. We talk about her athleticism and just her ability to drive to the basket almost every time we get on. So I'm definitely a big Aubrey Griffin fan too, and she's definitely had a spectacular year.
This one's specifically for Marcia. We had time for a couple more. SVP ST1 goes, I think Phil is off his meds again. I guess he's much more aware than Gino and his coaches. You boys are kind of overstepping your pay grade. So it's tough, Marcy. I'm sure you can tell that.
Do y'all get paid for this?
Ryan might bring it a couple bucks around. So Ryan, you want to speak on behalf of that one?
I just gotta say, everyone subscribe below, because usually I'm sitting on my butt eating nachos, and like I actually had to like put on makeup and take notes. So y'all are killing it, and we love you, hats and all. Stop hating Phil, everybody.
We definitely appreciate that.
All right, and Paul Singer goes, sometimes you just need to rest and take a few days off practice. The starting five is hurt or shot out. They all look like they lost 10 to 20 pounds from the start of the season. Not good. They are not runaway models. They are ball players. Well, I mean, it's tough when you're working with that. And I think, Marcia, I don't know if Ryan or you can comment on this. Playing time for the bench players. I know there's not a lot of them, but I mean, especially with March approaching, I think that's very important for Gino to. I'm not going in saying, all right, you take the slow route every time you go into these ball games. The rest of the games on the regular season schedule, but at the same time, kind of take an easy approach. But I think it's very important to give the starting five kind of a rest. I'm not saying these games aren't important, but if you can feel where I'm coming from.
Yeah, and that's why I brought up what Ayanna was doing today, and I really like her rebounding. She's not going to score a lot. That's not really her role, but I think that's a big role moving forward for Ayanna, is really getting the rebounds and just being aggressive on defense as well. Amari played a little bit today. I like the 3-pointer she hit. They let her open. She hit a 3. That was good to see. But yeah, I mean, definitely a lot of bench minutes hopefully coming when Caroline gets back, and maybe if AZ is hopefully able to return again this season.
Yeah, and I think a lot of their transition game can get going more if they have more players and more reps and whatnot. But yeah, it's gonna be tough. But I would like to see those players get some more playing time, get some rest, fresh life.
For sure, Marcia. Anything else that I know you said that you had some notes? You're more than welcome to go over anything at all that you want to share your takeaway from specifically this game today. Not only this game today, but anything this season to do with UConn Huskies women's basketball. I know you said you had your notepad out today, ready to go. So anything else that you would like to share?
I mean, I think overall this season is, again, full of injuries, and I've said it in a lot of my previous comments. It's going to happen. The league has become so much more competitive with NIL deals and everything. And I think, unfortunately, that's the way the game has, you're going to have injuries, and it's going to happen because everything is so much more competitive. I think UCLA went through it last year, or at one point Notre Dame went through it, like 3 people tore their ACL. So my hearts go out to these girls, and I just hope they get better and sage that locker room, and let's go March. Final Four.
For sure. Hey, while we have you on here, I wanted to appreciate you for having my back during that Maryland week. That was I'm sure you can recall that week. It was a very tough week, although I had to tell you, I mean, Ryan knows all too well, and I'm sure that you sniffed it out already, how big of a Maryland fan I am as far as Ravens, Orioles, and stuff. So that,
Yeah, but you
that
never
was
talked about
definitely.
Diamond Miller. What the heck?
Well, yeah, I
No.
know. I told Ryan I don't want to separate myself from Ryan, but man, it's all I can do not to have, a Terps podcast on the other side. But I know nobody wants to hear that with UConn franchise stuff on.
Well, I just appreciate you supporting women's basketball, and everybody watching that wants to hate. It's not easy. Show up. Come on. Get ready. Let's go. Take your notes because it's not easy. So thank you guys for doing
Hey,
this.
no problem. Ryan, any last comments?
I mean, just thank Marcia for coming on. We definitely appreciate all the support
sure.
from everybody, especially you, Marcia. So thank you for coming on and joining us today. We definitely really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Let's go. Go Huskies.
Hey, for sure, Marcia. And we hope to stay in contact with you. And again, we always, especially during the off season, I'm not gonna say it gets very boring, but we definitely run out of some stuff to talk about at times. So we hope to stay in contact with you, and hopefully maybe another episode with you.
Oh yeah, I have some ideas.
Yeah, sure thing. When it's very hot out, in the 80s and 90s this summer. So Ryan, the next stop, Creighton, and that will be at Gamble Pavilion. Number 4 Connecticut Huskies, Creighton Blue Jays. We want to thank all of you for watching Listen Up, presented by Dempsey's Sportsland, and Go Huskies. Marcia Clark, thank you again for joining us.
You're welcome.